Doing this, go subscribe. This reaction, and I saw this late last night. His reaction is all you need to know.
Make sure they deny. What do you think they're going to run here?
Game first season opener ever in the history of this league.
And I want to know who she's talking to. Bree January is on the right side right here drinking. Who could she have been asking this question to?
Where both teams have scored.
Let me paint you a picture. It's the most watched season opener in WNBA history. 17,000 people packed into Gainbridge Fieldhouse. National cameras rolling. The entire country tuned in. And in the final minute of that game, with everything on the line, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White turns to her staff and asks, "What do you think they're going to run here?" Not a statement, not a command, a question. That one moment tells you everything you need to know about what's happening in Indianapolis right now. And if you think I'm being dramatic, stay with me, because this goes a lot deeper than one bad loss. The Indiana Fever just lost their home opener to the Dallas Wings.
All right, black and white sports supporters. Well, we've got the continued fallout from the Indiana Fever loss to the Dallas Wings at home in the home opener to a team that won 10 games last year. The fallout is getting, the fandom getting loud. By fandom, I mean Caitlin Clark fandom. You had a lot of things coming out of that. You had the great mystery of back injury. Is it a back injury compensating for something else? Was it a hip flexor? Was it a groin?
Now, the Dallas Wings, a team that won 10 games last season. 10 out of 40. That's a .250 winning percentage. That's not rebuilding. That's a fire sale with a scoreboard. And the Fever didn't just lose to them. They gave up over 100 points at home in a game where their head coach had spent the entire offseason promising a new defensive identity. A defensive identity that gave up 100 points to a 10-win team. Let that marinate. But here's what makes this story bigger than a box score.
One thing I don't think I stressed enough in my reaction video yesterday is the second team, the second unit, the bench is not good. It's not. I said yesterday, I watched the Liberty play the other day. The game had gotten so far away, they had their second unit. Their second unit would beat the living shit out of our second unit. They'll run us out of the building. If we're not careful, they will run us out of the building.
The reaction. The Indiana Fever posted their final score on social media, and the comments absolutely erupted. 1,500 likes, nearly 4,000 comments. That ratio, that's not a fan base expressing disappointment. That's a fan base in open revolt. And that revolt, it's been building for months. Go back to the offseason. Scroll through any Fever fan forum, any WNBA podcast, any comment section. People were screaming about this roster. Too many guards, not enough length, no versatility, a defensive philosophy being bolted onto a team without the personnel to execute it.
I gotta tell you, I was having a conversation behind the scenes and we were talking about automatic wins. The only automatic wins we could think of behind the scenes in a conversation between 3 or 4 of us was the Sun and the Fire as automatic wins against this team. Everybody else got a chance. To be real, you know the Toronto tempo?
And what did the front office and the Fever media circles do with that criticism? They dismissed it. They called those fans casual. They said they didn't understand basketball. Here's the thing. A lot of those casual fans spent 40 years watching the best basketball on earth. They watched the Bad Boy Pistons, the Showtime Lakers, the Jordan Bulls, the Spurs dynasties. They know what a functional system looks like. They know what player development looks like. And they watched 2 years of the most electric college basketball this country has ever seen, Caitlin Clark at Iowa, and they know what elite looks like. So when they watched this Fever team and said something is wrong, and they weren't being negative, they were being accurate.
Here we go. So the Fever posted this, the final score. Holy hellfire. I mean, 1.5, 1.6 thousand likes to nearly 400 comments. That is not the ratio that you are trying to see. Fire White, no size playing, CC off ball. She does what she does, not work, then talks trash about Caitlin Clark fans. Look in the audience. What do you see? I got to tell you.
The bench situation? Catastrophic, not bad. Catastrophically outmatched. If you watch any New York Liberty game and see their second unit take the floor, those players would physically run Indiana's bench out of the building. That's not a slight. That's what multiple people who study this game closely have been saying behind closed doors. The roster was built wrong, and everybody watching knew it except the people who needed to know it most. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark, because this isn't just a team story. This is a Caitlin Clark story, and it's uncomfortable. At Iowa, that offense was designed around her. Screens were set. Spacing was created. Her teammates understood their purpose was to be orbiting planets around a sun. The ball moved. She moved. The system breathed.
These act like we haven't spent the last 6 decades watching the best basketball on earth. We know what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, I mean, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s of the NBA, you know what real good basketball is supposed to look like. Find a coach that can build around Clark, manage Mitchell, or trade her. Make this team something people wants to watch. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Messy. The Wings shot their asses off. I'm not worried. Okay. And there they go again. Not me anymore.
In Indiana, she's playing off ball for entire stretches. She's getting physically beaten up without a single screen being set for her. She's getting hacked, and the officials aren't protecting her, and her own teammates aren't protecting her either. She had what can only be described as a genuinely poor game, and that almost never happens. But context matters. When the system doesn't fit the player, even the best players look ordinary. Aaliyah Boston, who was dominant in college, looked slow and disengaged. These aren't individual failures. These are symptoms of a structure that isn't working. And then comes the injury question. First it was a back injury, then maybe a hip flexor, then possibly a groin. The broadcast couldn't even settle on what was wrong, and fans sitting at home are watching this woman get physically punished all night with zero protection, and then hearing vague injury reports. And they're thinking the same thing. Here we go again. If your biggest star is getting hurt, getting outplayed, and getting lost in a system, that is an emergency, not a talking point, an emergency. Which brings us back to Stephanie White.
Coach of the century. Oh, snap. Not the Joker. Not the Joker. You forgot the 80s leather jacket that continues to show up. That continues to show up like this is a bad 80s music video. Have to play more defense. They let the Wings get a lot of open shots. And then you have Dantis fouls within 10 minutes that kept Wings players going to the lines. Stephanie White asking anyone, what do you think they're going to run? Because she has not a clue.
Look, coaching is hard. Building a culture is hard. Turnarounds don't happen overnight. I understand all of that, but here's what's undeniable. Stephanie White left Vanderbilt after the program deteriorated significantly under her watch. She came to Indiana with a big vision and bigger promises, a defensive identity, a culture shift, a new era. And in the very first game of that new era, in the final minute, she's turning to her assistants and asking what the other team might run. That is not a coaching adjustment. That is not tactical humility. That is a head coach who, in the moment of highest pressure, did not have the answers.
Trash defense, uncoordinated offense, a lot of work to do. Boy, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you now. Defensive-minded players made sure that the defense became 100 times worse than last season. Honestly, it's pretty clear to say fire Stephanie White. How the hell does AB only got 4 rebounds? Why is Raven Johnson not playing more minutes? MHA and DD are effing trash. Cut or trade them. They do nothing. Give Caitlin the effing ball. Why does no one on the Fever set screens for Caitlin when she is literally hacked all night and nobody cares? Very pathetic, Fever. I hope either Caitlin Clark quits on you, you lose every game. Dang.
And the fans saw it in real time. on national television. That clip is going to follow this coaching staff all season long if things don't improve. Because that moment, glasses off, headset down, asking a question she should be answering. That moment is a symbol of a team that isn't ready, a staff that isn't commanding, a program that promised transformation and delivered confusion. The defensive performance made it worse. Careless fouls, wide open looks for Dallas, systematic breakdowns that didn't just happen, they accumulated throughout the game in a way that suggested the team had no answer for what they were seeing. Defensive-minded coach, defensive-minded roster construction somehow produced a defense that was worse, significantly worse than the season before. How does that happen? Someone has to answer for that. Here's what's really scary, and I don't use that word lightly. The fan base is already splitting apart. You've got traditional Fever fans and Caitlin Clark fans looking at each other sideways. You've got influencers pushing the everything is fine narrative, while the comment sections tell a completely different story. You've got people who bought tickets, who filled that arena, who showed up with genuine love for this team, and they watched their worst fears confirmed in real time. One commenter said flat out, "I'm a Washington Mystics fan now." Another said they hope Caitlin Clark quits on this team. These aren't trolls. These aren't bots. These are real people who invested real emotions and real money into this franchise, and they feel like they were handed something broken and told it was beautiful. And in the middle of all this, the league needs to pay attention, because the WNBA just had its most watched season opener in history. The eyes were there, the moment was there, and what the Fever put on the floor was a disorganized, underprepared, overpromised product that lost to one of the worst teams in recent league memory. That's not just a Fever problem. That's a missed opportunity for the entire league to say, yes, this is worth your attention. Instead, the conversation is about dysfunction. So where does this go from here? The front office has a decision to make, and they need to make it fast, because the fans aren't in a patient mood. They're not going to give this coaching staff 5 games to figure it out, while the window on Caitlin Clark's prime begins ticking down. People who pay attention to this team closely, people who consume basketball the way others consume air, they sat down and tried to identify automatic wins for this roster. Teams the Fever should comfortably beat based on personnel. You know how many they came up with? 2. The Phoenix Mercury, the Chicago Sky. That's it. Every other team on the schedule? Competitive, winnable, maybe, guaranteed? No. That's where expectations stand after one game. When your realistic win projections shrink before the season is a week old, you don't have a rough patch problem, you have a fundamental problem. The mystery around Clark's injury, back, hip flexor, groin, nobody knows, adds one more layer of anxiety to a situation that doesn't need more anxiety. If she's being physically worn down by poor system design and inadequate protection, and the front office doesn't respond to that, then the conversation shifts from can this team win to can this team keep its franchise player healthy and engaged. And that is a conversation no organization wants to be having in week 1. Here's the bottom line. The Indiana Fever have the biggest star in women's basketball. They have a passionate fan base that shows up. They have the attention of the entire country. What they don't have right now is a system that works, a coaching staff that inspires confidence, or a roster built to compete at the level the moment demands. One game doesn't end a season, but one game can absolutely reveal the truth about a team. And what we saw in that home opener, that was the truth. The question is, does this front office have the courage to look at it honestly? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Are you still riding with the Fever this season? Or did that Dallas loss confirm what you already feared? And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because we are going to be watching this story very, very closely all season long. I'll see you in the next one.